Morning.
Morning, Arlene.
Morning, Stan. Morning, Hank.
I checked out your website this morning and logged in from the website. And just to see that that was still up to date, and it is. So thank you for keeping that up.
I try. Stan, can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Good. I just changed mics and earphones.
Sounds good here.
I noticed the chat window still only allows chatting with the host.
Yeah, let me look and see if I can change that. I think when I said I could change that last week that I was looking at your possibilities. Yep, that's all that's possible. I'll have to send Judy a request to change that.
That would be nice. I sort of like that feature.
Well, that's frustrating. My new set of headphones doesn't work. Or wait a minute, let's see. I wonder if I again, if there's any way I can reset that. It says audio settings.
Hank, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Will.
Okay, I'm using the same I think you bought. The way you do it, I go into the Zoom application, go to settings, and in settings, you can test video and audio. And there, I check the phone settings for the microphone, the one that works. You can test it at that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I've just found a way to do it
Okay,
easier.
all right.
If you click on the little caret just to the right of the microphone, you can change, you can
Yeah,
select your
I'll do it there.
microphone and you can select your speakers.
Okay, so did you find one that works for
Yes.
the mic? Okay, good. Yeah, I had to search for mine too, because it didn't work at first. Works great now. Welcome, Joan. I don't know your last name. You're muted, Joan.
That's Joan Edwards. She's a walkabouter from Canada.
Oh, good.
Sorry, I had my audio off.
It's so you're visiting here from Canada?
I visit there outside of the last 2 years. I lived there for 81, 82, and then I visited every year since for anywhere from a week up to a month.
Visited here or visited there?
I visited San Diego.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada now.
Yeah, I'm in New Brunswick next to Maine.
Okay, well, you have another person that comes on here. Perhaps you know her. And I would give you her name if I could remember it.
Well, she contacted me after she was on, and I've been coming back every week just hoping she'd be on again. I think her name is Fran.
Yeah, right. It is Fran.
Yep.
She's usually on from Canada.
Someone said that she was off somewhere for a while,
Oh, okay.
holidaying or something.
Yeah, she's a doctor, as I recall.
Yes, that's what she said. And she's only about an hour from me.
Yeah. How's the weather there right now?
Well, it was beautiful a week ago. It was in the 70s and 80s all week. And then this past week, it was sort of in the 60s. And this week, we have our long weekend this weekend, our Victoria Day. And rain is forecast for most of it. But it's not raining right now, but I've seen motorhomes and trailers going up the road. They're trying to enjoy it, but
Yeah.
for me, it doesn't make much difference. I had visitors last week and they've gone. So
we normally have what we call May gray, where it's overcast all over the month of May, but we've been lucky this year. It's been pretty sunny until the last couple of days, actually. And then we have June gloom, May gray and June gloom, and then the rest of the months are wonderful.
well, that sort of is like here too, except it's not quite as warm normally as it is down there. But the only months that I remember when I was there was September and March. In September, there was a Santa Ana.
Yeah, it's
And
really
I almost died of the heat. And in March, it rained so hard that I was staying in a house where they had started to build a fireplace, and they never finished it. So it came right down through the half-finished fireplace, across the bedroom floor, and out until 163. It just poured.
We could use some of that right now.
Yes, we see that. That's the joys now of so many things, like there's always the weather for North America most of the time. You see what's going on everywhere.
We have a peculiar phenomenon doing right now. I live in Pacific Beach, north of San Diego, and we're hearing very, very loud airplane takeoff noises. And I think it may be a weather phenomenon in that it somehow channels the sound, because I've never heard that much sound before, that much takeoff noise. Has anybody else heard that?
I hear lots of it in La Jolla. We're closer to Miramar than you are.
Is it Miramar or is it
Yeah.
Lindbergh? Yeah.
Miramar for me.
Do they still
Could it-
call it Lindbergh Field?
Yes.
Could either of you please send me some Kono potatoes?
Some what?
Kono potatoes.
Hono potatoes?
Yeah, Kono potatoes from Konos.
In
Pacific-
Pacific Beach.
Right.
Oh,
Konos-
listen, I wish I were there right now. As a matter of fact, I love them. That's good for you.
They're my favorite.
I love that place.
Yeah.
How do you spell it? Kono, like Kono?
Yep. That's right. Exactly.
And
And
they're-
it's right
and they're-
at the entrance to the pier.
And their
Oh,
their
okay.
egg burritos are to die for, but they're so big.
Yeah. But the potatoes are a mixture of onions and potatoes, and I don't know what else they put in them, but boy, are they delicious.
That
they
they
call
are.
them Kono potatoes, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
And a lot of our walks started from that right there. We'd meet there and eat there afterwards.
I think it's a great place to just go sit and watch the water and watch the people.
True.
It's,
Tell you what, Joan, if you give me post your email address or something, I'll see if I can help you out.
Oh, geez. I don't think you can do it. I don't expect that. It's just even the thought is enough all I need.
Hey, last year I was complaining about California sweet corn, and I said how terrible that is. Well, I come from the upstate New York area where we have wonderful sweet corn, and I posted it on Facebook, and a guy came on and he says, "Give me your mailing address." And by gosh, within a few days, I received a big package of sweet corn. It was
Oh my
wonderful.
gosh.
Well, the other day, I don't know what the two cities were, but it could have been one in Western Canada and one in Eastern Canada. But the guy said, I need that pizza. I grew up with it. I need the pizza. My Lord, they shipped it to him, 10 boxes of it.
Oh my gosh.
How they did it is they got it ready. They half cooked it and they sent it by UPS to the plane, and then the plane took it to wherever it was going.
It was.
Oh, people love their food.
Trouble is, the shipping prices now are outrageous, unless you're shipping a media mail where you get a big discount. The other things cost you so much to ship something, it's almost costs more than the product you're shipping.
if you
Right.
need to get something somewhere really fast, you can go to the airlines and an individual airline will ship something for you to a given airport if that airline flies there. When the hurricane Iniki came through Kauai, oh gosh, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I guess. My son lives on Kauai and he was practically wiped out. There was no electricity on Kauai for about 3 months because all the telephone poles were down. So I shipped him 2 portable generators and I did it through the airline, and he had to go to the airport to actually pick it up, but he got them in a day. And with the shortage of electricity on Kauai, I don't think those generators would have gotten to him if I'd done it any other way. Somebody would have lifted it along the way.
Was it very expensive?
I don't remember. I didn't care. He had solar hot water panels on his roof. So he was the most popular guy on the North Shore because he had cold beer and hot showers.
Does he still live there up near Princeville, Hank?
Yes, he does.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
He his wife is retiring this week.
Huh.
She runs part of the water utilities in Princeville.
Oh, I'll be darned.
I want to welcome Jane Chartel. Is that the way you pronounce your last name, Jane?
She's muted. Jane, you're muted.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure the correct pronunciation. I just say Chardel. I married into the family. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, if that's how you pronounce it, then that's what's correct.
How did you find out about us, Jane?
Let me think.
Are you part of the walkabout group?
No. I think I
Oh.
heard about you through
How about the neighborhood?
So you just sent me an email and I put you on the list. Is that what happened?
I had a stroke and I joined a group called ABI, Acquired Brain Injury, and they put out she puts out a daily recap of the online class and then posts people share of groups that they know of and helpful links and helpful tips, and you were on there.
Oh, good.
ABI, huh?
ABI,
I've got
Acquired Brain Injury.
acquired.
Brain injury.
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm not sure. I think it's just local in San Diego.
Do they have a website? Apparently they do.
I don't know. I've never looked. I
Well, you
hooked
got
up
the
with
information
them.
somehow.
Yeah, I hooked up with them through, I don't even remember. It may have been some hospital or medical program.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'd like to learn
like
about that.
something that Tom put up before he died.
Oh, could be. Because they had a brain injury, and I'd like to find out if it's ABI.
The only one I find is in Texas.
Oh,
Acquired brain injury causes.
well, maybe it's local then.
Probably a 211 call might bring some information about it.
There's a lot of scholarly articles on the subject.
Okay, Hank, are we ready? How are we going?
What time is it? Let's see. Yes,
12:45.
10:35. All right. I'm going to mute everybody and run the program that we have for this morning. Here we go.
Today, I want to show you how you can get Microsoft Excel entirely for free. First, we'll look at how you can get Excel on the web, and then we'll look at how you can get the desktop version, or the version that you can install on your computer. I've done this video before, but since then, Excel on the web has just gotten a lot better. All right, let's check this out. To use Excel on the web, simply head to the address excel.new. And look at that, you're now in Excel on the web in a brand new spreadsheet. This video is basically now done. If you went to that page but you saw a login screen, you'll have to log in with your Microsoft account, or you could click on Create One and you can create a free account. Once you log in, then you'll drop on that spreadsheet view. There are also other ways to get to Excel on the web. You can go to excel.office.com and that'll drop you on the Excel start page. Here you can start a new spreadsheet. You could also start from a template, and down below you can get to recent spreadsheets. You can also head to office.com, and once you log in, you'll land on the main office.com page. In the top left-hand corner, you can click on the plus icon to kick off a new spreadsheet. On the left-hand side, you can also click on the Excel icon, and this once again will drop you on the Excel start page. If you're running Windows 10 or 11, you can search for something called the Office app. This comes pre-installed on Windows. Once you open up the app, this will look very similar to what you find on office.com. Now, let's say you have a spreadsheet that you started working on offline. You can also edit that using Excel on the web. On the Excel start page, you can simply drag and drop the spreadsheet directly into your browser. That'll upload it and then automatically open it in Excel. As an alternative, you can also upload that file into OneDrive, then simply click on that and that'll also open it in Excel on the web. Now, let's say you want to get your spreadsheet back offline. You can go up to the File menu, click on Save As, and then here you can download a copy to your computer. You might be thinking, well, is Excel on the web any good? I mean, it is free, so how good could it be? Well, it has gotten so much better. You get access to all of the latest functions. For example, you could use the new XLOOKUP function. You could use filter, unique, let. You also get more advanced functionality. For example, you can view all of the changes that have happened to your spreadsheet since you last touched it. You could use all of your favorite keyboard shortcut keys. There's data validation. You can insert tables. You can use conditional formatting. You can insert pivot tables, charts. You can even work together with other people in real time. And there's also something called Office scripts. This is like a modern version of those legacy macros that you might be used to from the desktop version of Excel. You might be wondering, this sounds far too good to be true. Are there any downsides? Well, first off, it's called Excel on the web, meaning that you need an internet connection to be able to use this. Also, there are some missing features. For example, there's no Power Query. But I would say that the core functionality is there and that'll satisfy most people. Now that we've looked at how you can use Excel for free on the web, let's look at how you can get the desktop version that you can install on your PC also for free. If you're a student or a teacher and your school has a contract with Microsoft, you may be eligible to download Office entirely for free. Simply head to the following website. I've included a link right up above. You'll have to type in your school email address and then you should be able to download it. If that didn't work, there's one more option to getting the desktop apps for free. You can use something called Microsoft Rewards. I've included a link right up above. It's kind of like a frequent flyer program. You have to search using the Bing search engine, and when you do, you earn points. Once you accumulate enough points, you can trade them in for a gift card. And what do you know? You can use your gift card to buy Office. The only downside is it'll take a bit of time before you can get Office for free. And unfortunately, this option is not available in all markets. All right, well, those are all of the free ways of getting Microsoft Excel, at least all of the legal ways. If you just want to buy Office, I've included a link to a video right up above that walks through all of the different available plans. There are one-time options where you just pay once and you get Office, or you could sign up for a subscription. In that video, I walk through some of the pros and cons of the two different options. To watch more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. I'll see you next time.
Hank, do you know that guy's name?
Kevin Stravert, I think it is, something like that.
And we're back.
Hank, do you know that guy's name? Oh, I'm sorry, didn't have his ears on. Hank, do you know that guy's name?
Yes, just a minute. I knew his name.
He has some great great tutorials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's-
he does.
Yeah, he's very much a a Microsoft guy, and so he's going to tell you how the Microsoft stuff works.
Oh, David, you had his name?
I think it's Kevin.
Here he
Stravert.
is, right here.
Oh,
It's
Kevin.
it's Stratvert. Kevin, Kevin, Stratvert, Stratvert.
Yeah, thanks.
And he has 1.37 million subscribers on YouTube,
Mm.
of which I am one. Okay, I have found some other good tutorials from him that I've played in the past here, and I have some more scheduled. Okay, are there any questions about Excel for free? If not, I'll turn it over to Will and we can start Q&A.
Okay, before we start, I wanted to say I just bought a new cell phone. My old one was old enough, so I wasn't able to even download certain applications. They said, sorry, your phone can't download this app. So I sprung, I think, $100 to buy a new one. And now I'm in the process of trying to move data across from my old one to my new one and move my telephone number across from my old one to my new one. And it's a learning process, a little frustrating, but I'm making progress. Interestingly, the new telephone that they sent me does not have the correct cable for charging it. I was surprised at that. It came with a C connection on both ends of the cable. Is that normal? Does anybody know?
I don't know if that's normal, but that's exactly what's happening to me. And because I just got a new cell phone and I haven't had time to transfer. And that was the first thing I noticed, that C to C, and also no charger.
Yeah, I went on Amazon and for $10 I bought 3 C charging cables with the USB on one end and C on the other.
Yeah.
So that was a fairly inexpensive solution, but it bothers me that they send out a cable that's C on both ends. How are you supposed to charge a cell phone with that?
You're supposed to plug it into your computer that has a USB-C kind of port on it.
Oh, not into a charging cube.
Yeah.
That's weird.
My Lenovo that I bought a year and a half ago, it also came with power on one end, plug in the wall on one end, and the other end was C. And that worked for a while. I first called them and said, you sent me the wrong cable, but they said, no, it's the right cable. And it worked. But then eventually, I think it blew out the C port, and I had to go to Best Buy and buy something with a normal power plug, because they do have the normal hole.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with USB-C is the spec is designed for it to allow power delivery at higher currents and higher voltages. And if you have a port that does the proper negotiation, the power supply can provide you with a fast charging current and everything. But it's one of those things. Not everybody implements that, and it depends on as you say, your the little cube that you brought into it. The computer may have asked for more than the cube was really rated to supply.
Yeah, I've converted most of my charging over to these magnetic.
Yeah. And Stanley has
I-
a show and tell for us.
Yeah, I think we did that one time, and you just get it close to the connection area and it snaps in place and you don't have to worry about how do I plug it in. I think Stan switched over that too. Yeah, in fact, he's showing it right now.
Yeah.
So how does that work, Stan?
Well, there's a little adapter, a magnetic
Stanley, you're
adapter.
muted.
The, I don't use it. I use a wireless charging, and I have tried to use it to do data transfer, and I don't use it to do data transfer because I can transfer my photos, which are Google Photos, by just doing a Google Photo share or link. And I'm using a little magnetic connector for my power charging. So I only charge my phone using a wireless charger, or
You muted yourself again, Stan. Takes 3 hands to stay unmuted and hold up 2 things.
all right. This is a little tiny dongle that I plug in, and it's magnetic, and it connects to a cable. I wasn't prepared for this, but anyway, my charging is done by a magnetic connector, which is wonderful. I don't jiggle around with connectors. I just magnetically connect my charging cable, and I transfer photo files using Google Photos. And so that's my system.
I set up Google Photo from my cell phone to be automatic, in that it automatically takes any photo that I've done on my cell phone and immediately transfers it to my Google Photos on my computer. So I don't have to do anything. It just shows up on my computer. Anybody else do that?
Yeah, I'm doing that. But if I want the files resident on my computer, I have to do
Oh,
a select and copy, and it sends down a zip file containing all of those photos. And then I have the photos on my computer
I see.
for safekeeping.
So Google Photos is in the cloud.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do have my hand up. I was just going to comment on Kevin's, Excel on the web. Is that okay? Just like with the photos, if you want to use their free stuff, your data is residing in Microsoft's OneDrive, which means basically they have all your data. If you want it on your computer, you got to copy it back. So it's like with so many things nowadays, they make it easy, they make it convenient, but you also give up your right to your data. It's not private anymore.
Mm. I worry, maybe needlessly, but one of these days I'm concerned that we may get a complete electrical grid shutdown. And when that happens, it won't come back up quickly. And if we're down for more than, say, a few days or a week or a month, it would be a terrible dislocation of our life, particularly mine, because I depend upon my computer for so much that I do every day. And I expect you do the same. But if all the power is shut off for a particular length of time, and the problem is that with a grid shutdown, if it's caused by what they call a CME, that it will burn out some of the large transformers that we have at the power stations, and getting those back online could be a big problem. Trying to, first of all, manufacture these large transformers without having any electricity might be a problem. You say, oh, well, I've got a generator. Yeah. It runs on gasoline. Yeah. But how do you get your gasoline from the gas station that has an electric motor that pumps the gasoline? So anyway, I've been some way that I can have a battery backup at my house. I have solar panels. Probably those don't work unless you have electrical power, which I don't quite understand why that's necessary, but the powers to be say you need to have electrical power before the solar panels work.
Well,
Because
maybe you need a portable turbine.
There you go. If the wind keeps blowing, right?
the reason for the need for power is that the solar panels produce direct current, DC, and that has to be turned into what we normally use in our houses, which is AC, alternating current. And that requires an inverter, and that requires power.
I recently added solar panels, 9 panels to my roof. And I'm just getting, I mean, I've been on it now for about 6 weeks. And so I have to see how the bills come in and how they get changed to see how it actually affects. But I got 9 panels and no battery backup. So I'm reliant on the grid. And anyway, it seems to be working. So I'm pleased so far.
Yeah, I have, I think 16 panels and I don't have battery backup, and I inquired into that. And I think they wanted like $15,000 or something for batteries, which I think is outrageous. I just need enough batteries to store for, one day if we ever have a grid shutdown. But apparently I can't run the panels unless I have electricity. But it seemed to me I could have batteries that would run an inverter.
And that's what the batteries are for. And you didn't buy the batteries.
No, I'm saying you need batteries, but can't the batteries run an inverter?
Yeah, they're
Anyway,
both DC. The panels are DC, batteries are DC. They both need to go through a converter to become AC and usable in your house.
But you can certainly get an inverter that would run off of DC power.
that's what I'm thinking. Sure.
And it's with the solar panels, it's sort of it's the startup that's sort of a chicken and the egg problem that you can't the inverter needs the power in order to convert the power to make the inverter run, and it's sort of a chicken and the egg problem, I think. But yeah, I'm sure you could get some batteries that could keep that inverter going so that when your panels work that they do. But it's and you could charge the batteries. You probably don't need a big lot of batteries if all you're doing is relying on keeping your solar panels going. But it's another piece of stuff that that would be part of the system.
I would think that would be available commercially, but I haven't found it yet. But there has to be a solution, because my gosh, if the grid shuts down for a long period of time, there's going to be a lot of people who are in big trouble to the point where they're dead, because people that rely upon electricity to keep medical instrumentation running, you can't run that on DC very long.
Well, yeah, that's why they have, big hospitals have power generators that are and they usually have like a week's worth of fuel around.
That's a week. That's not a month or 2 months.
Yeah, well, the thing is, hopefully in that amount of time that because historically these things haven't lasted that long, and you can still have fuel trucked in.
Yeah, well, there are 2 ways that you can get the grid to shut down. At least 2 ways. The main way is called a solar flare, an X flare, and that flare comes in and it's large enough to induce current into all the wires that you have. And the last one, big one, happened back in, I think, 1853. And it literally burned out the telegraph wires. At that time, we didn't have a lot of any electronics. And about the only electricity we were using was the telegraph. Now, the amount of current it takes to burn out a telegraph wire is huge. And what happens is that it induces, the magnetic field induces a large electrical current into these wires and burns them out. Now, we have no way to control a solar flare, and hopefully we don't get a great big one, but they do happen. And there's no way we can really predict when or when it's going to happen. And let's just hope it's not going to happen. The other way it can happen is that if a large nuclear device, it goes off like 200 miles above the United States, it generates a huge magnetic pulse also, which will do the same thing. It will induce electricity into the various electronic components and burn out the wires. Now, your cell phone, I'm sure, will burn out, but they say it'll burn out even the electrical transformers at some of the power stations. And if that happens, that's when the grid goes down. And how long it takes to rebuild the equipment and get those power stations running again is how long we have to go without electricity. And I think that could be a big, big problem. Maybe I'm too negative on this, but I do worry about it. Anybody else have any concerns?
What about your information that's out there on all these computers that you see?
I don't know, say it again, Dan.
What about your information and all these online computers? That's all going to be gone also.
Yeah, and bank records. Hopefully a lot of this stuff is stored in non-volatile ways, but I don't know if those are around anymore. Does anybody make any DVDs anymore? Not that I know of. That's a good concern, Dan. Well, we've drifted off from answering computer questions. Let's get back to that. Anybody have any?
My feeling is if what happens if what you're talking about happens, I think one of the minor concerns will be your data. I think it will be more like food and heat, and the marauders that it'll be going around. I think your computer access will be the least of your problems.
Yeah, well, refrigeration will stop. That could be a big problem in terms of food storage. My electric can opener isn't going to work anymore. I got to make sure I've got a manual can opener. And how do we heat our food? Sterno, I guess. Do they make Sterno anymore, by the way?
Yeah, the little things you get for your fondue pots.
Yeah, I used to go camping and had a lot of those.
Back to Q&A, please.
Okay, back to Q&A. Anybody have any true computer Q&A questions? Don't see any, Hank.
I don't hear any. Let's see.
What else of interest is going on?
Let's see what I've been doing all week. I know I've been very busy, so it must have been important, but I can't remember what it was.
Has anybody else done this transfer of an old cell phone to a new one that might help me out with it?
I did the same thing. Well, I didn't do the same thing because mine worked. I changed from Verizon to AT&T with my new Pixel 6 Pro, and the AT&T store did all of the transfer of my data from the old phone to the new phone. And it works just like I stayed within the Android Pixel system. And so the learning curve was very small. And So that's how I did it. I just went to the provider and bought the phone.
Yeah.
The thing that sold me is they gave me $800 for my Pixel 3, which paid for a Pixel 6. But I was convinced I wanted the Pixel 6 Pro. So I'm paying $3 a month for 36 months to get the Pro version of the Pixel 6, which is about an $800 phone.
Yeah.
I bought my phone at Best Buy and they did the transfer. I just had to find a way to use up about an hour of time.
Yeah, because, well, that's been my experience too, is that wherever you buy the phone, you bring your old phone and you buy your new phone and they, plug cords into both of them and they will transfer your phone number and all your data for you when you get that new phone.
Yeah, I bought my phone online from TrackPhone. TrackPhone used to use Walmart for all their work. I went to Walmart's and they have stopped doing that. So I got to find somebody that does it and pay them money, I expect, or I do it myself. As I understand, what you do is you upload to Google Drive, up all the data from one phone up to Google Drive and download it from Google Drive back into the new one. I don't know how you change the phone number though, or bring the phone number over to the new phone.
Yeah, I think that's usually done by the phone companies when, and they love to get your phone number onto their system, and I think they're actually required to port your phone over, to move your number to a new phone if you want it to,
Yeah.
or to a new carrier, because that's what they want. They want to have your phone number on their carrier.
When I bought my first smartphone, I was transferring from a flip phone to a smartphone, and I bought it at Costco. And I asked the guy that sold it to me if he could transfer the data from one phone to another, and he said he would, and he did. But since then, I've gotten curious and have. Wait a minute, I just lost it. Yeah, I have found that in my Galaxy smartphone, there is a place in settings called accounts and backup. And within accounts and backup, there is a system called Smart Switch, SMART-SWITCH. I think that is only a Galaxy program, but it may be just an Android program. I'm sure it's not an iPhone program, but it has two possibilities. I'll read them to you. One says bring data from old device, which reads transfer. Well, press the wrong button again.
Yeah, both of my phones are Galaxy phones, so this may work.
Transfer data from an old phone or tablet, including pictures, contacts, apps, and messages. And then the other one says external storage transfer. Back up your data to an SD card or a USB storage device, or restore backup data using Smart Switch. So I'd suggest that if you're interested in this, you Google Smart Switch and see what it can do on your system.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Dan?
Oh, sorry.
Dan?
Did you say Dan? Okay,
Yes.
I've been using TrackPhone for a long time. And recently, in the last three years or so, I've even had problems with them trying or getting them to put time on my phone. I know you can do it yourself, but I have problems with trying to use the buttons on it. So I went to Walmart a couple of years ago and they said they wouldn't do it. So I went down to Target, and after I spoke to the manager, they did it. But This year I went down to Walmart and they said they weren't supposed to do it, but the person that sold me the minutes agreed to do it. So all these phones have little problems, their own problems. And I've never tried to switch to data because that'd be really deep.
I have track phone and I have it automatically charged to a credit card every month. And believe me, it's only $15 a month for all the minutes that I use. I'm not a big user, so I don't know how many minutes I get, but it seems to me they accumulate also month to month. And so I've got a pile of unused minutes that I don't know how I'm going to use them. Okay. Joan.
Yes, a couple of things. Where did you say you found the switch phone? Who was it that found the switch phone on their phone?
I think it was Hank.
Wait a minute, I wasn't listening. What was the,
Where did you find that switch phone on your phone?
in settings?
In settings, okay. The other thing
And
is,
within settings in backup and transfer, there's a subheading under settings for
okay,
backup.
here's another thing. I have a website here that people use, and it's support.google.com/Android. I don't know how to get it to you.
Can I jump in here and read you something, because everybody has a different problem. It depends on whether you have an Android now and you're going to an iPhone, or vice versa, or from one end. Let me read you all the possibilities I got when I typed in, how do I transfer my contacts? And then I got a whole list of things that I can complete that with. Let me read them to you, because that means that there are solutions to this for each one of these. How do I transfer my contacts from Android to iPhone? How do I transfer my contacts to my new iPhone? How do I transfer my contacts from Android to Android? How do I transfer my contacts to a new phone? How do I transfer my contacts from one Gmail account to another? How do I transfer my contacts from my iPhone to my iPad, etc.? And then from my iPhone to my computer. So you can do all these things. You just need to figure exactly which one you want to do and then Google it. And I bet you will find a solution.
Yeah, thanks, Hank.
Where did you find all these?
On Google. I went to Google, put up a new Google window and typed in, how do I transfer my contacts? And you know how Google is. Google will finish your sentence for you. It finished my sentence 9 different ways.
Thank you, Hank. That was Google search, correct?
Yep, just plain
Okay.
Google search.
I use DuckDuckGo just because it doesn't bring up all the ads, but I expect that I'd get the same results.
Sure you will.
Wish I had this when I was back in college.
Let me see if I can show you this.
Wish I had a computer when I was back in college.
Yeah, how do I transfer my contacts from, here you are. You see this? All I did was, how do I transfer my contacts, space F, and I got all of these. You can do the same thing. You just go to Google and start typing. Next. Who's got a comment, a question, or a subject? We all know everything we need to know, huh? We're all so smart that we don't need any help.
We're so baffled we don't know the question.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me ask a question, not computer related, but maybe you guys have an answer for me. When I see all videos of all these people coming across the border, they're walking in sometimes just in a t-shirt and shorts and not even carrying a backpack. Where's all the stuff that they had to have to come from wherever they came all the way up to here? Certainly they must have a handbag or something with them, but they don't. They're just walking along a path, looking happy and not carrying anything and dressed for summer. What am I missing?
I don't think anyone here knows.
I don't know, all that I would guess is that, they're part of a caravan, and that caravan is getting sort of housed and fed along the way. And it wouldn't surprise me if they had a bunch of stuff and they said, okay, fine, I'm getting across the border. And they just, leave it at their last place and walk across the border and say, okay, fine. And then now I'm in a place where I can, they feel bad about letting me starve, so they'll feed me.
Maybe
Some of
they've
them-
been told that if they carry anything across the border, they're going to get a lot more scrutiny than if they just come naked.
Some of them are carrying, young children and even babies.
Yep.
I'm curious as to how in the world they got up to Tijuana and able to
Without
cross, or
diapers.
wherever it is they're crossing, and without any.
You need to
Yeah,
go.
things with them.
You need to go down to the border and stand there and ask them. Will
Yeah.
Dan?
You see a lot of the homeless walking around. They don't have anything with them, but they have it stored somewhere.
Usually in a cart from a grocery store full of stuff that they push around.
Hide
Yeah.
that somewhere.
Yeah.
I haven't been across the border since before the COVID, but there was always long lineups, even then, of people that live in San Diego and are just returning from a visit for whatever reason to Tijuana. So there was, I never got straight through. There was always a long lineup, no matter what.
Yeah, the border takes about an hour to get through a lot of times.
Sometimes more than that.
And where I live, we have groundskeepers that make that commute every day. Not a life that I aspire to. Well, I don't see any more questions.
I have one question, not about computers, but about the primary election. I have decided I'm going to rely on, or at least listen to what the San Diego Union editors are recommending. And so today they came up with their recommendations on state senators. So I said, well, good, I'll go read their comments and then fill in my absentee ballot. And there is no, in my ballot, there's no list for state senators. And so my question is, why is that? And it occurred to me that apparently for my district, no state senators are up for re-election, or it's an odd year for state senators. Is that a correct interpretation of why I don't have state senators on my ballot?
I haven't the slightest, but I'm pretty sure you can call a county registrar and they'll answer your question.
Yeah, that's true.
And the registrar, there's people there that answer the phone.
They really do, huh?
Well,
Yep.
I'm wondering if any of you have had a similar experience of looking at your ballot and finding that, well, for instance, state senators are not listed for your particular ballot, which if you're not in the district, you don't get to vote for state senators that are outside your district. So they're not even on your ballot.
Makes
And that's probably what's going on, because not Legislatures usually get elected every 2 years, where senators often have staggered terms. And so your senator may not be up for reelection
Yeah,
in various
okay.
places.
I'll accept that as my answer and carry on.
When is the voting? Is it in June?
June.
Yeah, June 5th or something like that.
7th.
June 7th, yeah.
Okay.
Dan,
I have a comment for Will. I use my track phone and I buy it by the year. It's $100 a year. But I have had difficulty finding my minutes anymore. I know I have 4,000 or more minutes because I never use it. But they used to list the minutes and when your contract expired. Now they tell you when your contract expires, but they don't tell you the minutes that you have available.
I go to their website, TrackPhone website, and sign into my account, and it gives me that information.
You did?
and Dan, I'll bet you if you just dial 611 and ask the question, they'll tell you. Maybe, or tell you how to find out.
I'm not that really concerned about it, but I just comments for Will there.
Yeah. My problem with 611 is it comes up and says 32 people are in front of you.
Okay, you done, Dan?
I'm done.
Okay,
I have something. I've got my hand up. It's not a question. It's not computer related, but I thought it might interest some people here. I went to a meeting yesterday with my property manager for a couple of pieces of rental property I have. And I said the following to him. When I was running the last organization that I ran in the Navy, we were a service organization. We were supposed to be very responsive to anyone who needed our help. That was a whole reason for the 500 people that I supervised to be on the Navy payroll. So I made it a practice to go to my home telephone about once a month and call the number that the rest of the Navy was supposed to call for my command to get help. And if I didn't find a real live person, the next morning I went in and raised hell. And I told him that story because I had tried to talk to this person that I was going to meet with at 4 o'clock 3 times that day. I had made 7 phone calls and I never reached a real live person. I got press 1 for property management, press 2 for homeowners associations, press 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And each time I pressed a button, I ended up with somebody's voicemail that promised me that I would get a call back, but I wanted to talk to somebody. He took that, he hoisted my suggestion aboard, and I think he's going to fix that. I also, this morning, sent him an email saying, besides calling your own number, you ought to look yourself up on the internet, because the place where your office is listed on the internet is not where I met you yesterday. So if anybody's running anything that requires contacts from the public, pretend that you're a public and pretend that you're looking for you and see if you can find you. That might, one more thing, that might also be interesting if you just Google yourself.
Yeah. Well, and Hank, have you ever tried to leave a message for yourself and see if it actually got to you?
No, haven't done that yet. I'm not running this 500-man organization anymore. I retired 35 years ago.
Thanks, Hank. Dan?
I agree with Hank. And I had an interesting experience. A lady called me yesterday or day before, and she just bought a wheelchair, electric wheelchair from Sunrise Medical. And she was trying to find somebody to complain about because she didn't like it. So I looked on the internet for Sunrise Medical, and I could never find an address or a phone number. I just found the local distributor, and that's it. So no one is providing any help or service these days. They just want to sell you something, whatever they have to sell.
And so often I find now that I can, they'll have a website and they'll have a little, a chat thing on the website, but trying to find an actual phone number or an actual address is actually pretty hard for many different organizations. Their only real existence seems to be on the web.
And trying to find a live person to talk to is even harder.
Yeah. Although often these things have, stay on the line, hit O for operator or something like that. But then you get back to your 611 thing. You have 32 people in front of you.
Hank?
I spent a couple of hours 3 or 4 days ago with H&R Block trying to find out why I was charged for a return that I was supposed to be, that was supposed to be free. I had one free wireless income tax return, and I never got that. They charged me $10 for that and $30 for the state or something like that. But
I want to. Sorry, Dan, you done?
I went through 3 or 4 different people and finally found somebody that said they would credit my account. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but that's my complaint for today.
I want to show everybody one way that you can often find a place. Let's see, here we go. All right, I'm sharing my screen. You see over here, I put in Total Property Management San Diego, and I get back individual websites, about us, here's Total Property Management San Diego and so forth. But in many of these cases, when you do this, besides the place where you get websites, you get something over here on the right, which is like, it's my equivalent of the Yellow Pages or the telephone book. This is what I use to find people. I go down and it tells you where they are. It tells you whether they're open at this particular time, and if not, when they're going to open. And it gives the address and some reviews. So I commend this to you in the Google search business to look over on the right-hand side when you type something in and see if it has already brought up, maybe even some photos of the place that you're going to go to.
Don't depend on those suggestions or reviews, because they're from the people that put in the ad.
I don't think that's true. I think this is Google, and Google has searched for reviews and put up some.
I have not had that experience.
I think that's true when you look at reviews on a website, because a website is run by the webmaster. I run one for us. And I have not put reviews up on our website, but most websites have them. And in that case, it is the choice of the company. But this thing over on the right, I think, is more likely to come from.
Have you seen any negative reviews over there?
I haven't looked. Here we go. View all Google reviews. These are Google reviews. There are 7 reviews, and see they average 2.5 stars. So
This first guy's not happy.
Let's sort by lowest. Okay. Here's a 1 star. Here's a 1 star. There's a 1 star, a 1 star, a 5 star, a 5 star, a 5 star. 3 1 stars and 3 5 stars. And I'm quite sure that this did not come from Total Property Management. This came from Google.
Yeah, but you've dug deeper into the situation. What you were saying is over on the right-hand side, where they had those ads, they had some reviews. And I don't think you're gonna find many negative reviews over here.
We just saw some.
You've got all
Here
the
they
files.
are. I just clicked. Look, Dan.
I understand.
View all Google reviews from the right-hand side.
I
And from the,
understand what you said. I'm
but
just
I'm,
saying,
I'm showing you what you get. You do get negative reviews when you click on the right side for all views. Here they are.
if you dig deeper, you're correct.
Okay. I'm done. If you don't agree with me, that's your privilege.
You know,
Um,
I complain about not having good contacts, but then I conveniently had forgotten what it was like 50 years ago to try to contact various places that you wanted to contact. I'll tell you, today is so much better than it was 50 years ago.
let me see. I'm going to take my hand down. And does anyone else have something to say? We're down to 12 participants. Two have given up and gone away. And unless some of you would like to stick around, I'm going to close this down pretty soon.
Let me just comment on my pet peeve right now is that we're giving $60 billion to Ukraine. I don't think anybody in Washington understands what a billion is, say nothing about a trillion.
I'd like to know where the money's coming from to send that.
Oh, you know where it's coming from.
Oh, okay.
It's coming from you
They're printing it.
and me.
Well, they're borrowing it, so it's coming from your kids and your grandkids.
Right.
I don't know. We're 30 trillion in debt. I don't see how that can ever be taken care of.
It
we
won't.
can't default. So I don't know the answer to it. I'm just glad I'm as old as I am and don't have to worry about it.
Perhaps,
You make it all disappear.
perhaps when Russia shows up in Alaska, you'll forget about the cost of it.
It's terrible. And they said they're allocating 21 billion to taking care of COVID, but they're giving 60 to Ukraine.
They've already spent trillions on COVID, sending out checks to people.
Yeah, I calculated if you were to count out $1 trillion bills, one every second, you'd be done in 32,000 years.
I am assigning Will Wakely as the new host, and I'm going to bid you farewell until next week.